We finally have a catch-up system. Yes, one of the biggest downsides of the Dragonflight crafting system has been rectified for the War Within. It's taken a little bit of time for it to, one, be switched on, and two, for people to figure out how the hell the damn system works, but we do finally have a catch-up system for the professions in the War Within. Now, it is not perfect. There is some weird things that we need to address, and so I'm going to put this video today to hopefully cover some of those, to showcase you what the catch-up system is, how you can actually use it, and the fact that it does differ slightly between professions. But fundamentally, we can actually catch up on our knowledge points. This is predominantly for knowledge points. Artisans' acuity is a slightly different topic of discussion, but at least there is still the system in place where if you get a catch-up knowledge point, it will still give you 5 Artisans' acuity as well, so they kind of go hand in hand a little bit. But let's talk about it then. Firstly, as I mentioned, it does work in 3 slightly different ways depending on what profession you have. I'm going to use a brand new character here today. Mr. Goblin Wallet has never stepped foot in the War Within prior to about 5 minutes ago. I've picked up a couple of professions to try and showcase this today, and it should hopefully by the end of this video give you a good overview of exactly how you can catch up and how you can keep up with some of those top crafters, those top gatherers on your realm. Now, let's start at the very beginning. Blizzard, please, please, please don't do this again. This is another completely hidden system. There is no reference to this in the game whatsoever. You have to dig into the game using scripts. It's taken players data mining this to figure out that it even exists in the first place. And it's taken trial and error of some people much smarter than myself. I can't unfortunately take credit for much of this. I'm just the news reporter in this regards. It's taken the expertise of some smart people to really fine-tune and figure out exactly how this works. I wish Blizzard wouldn't put these hidden systems in the game. We had hidden skill value back in Dragonflight, and it was gross. Nobody liked it. Nobody understood how it existed. Those players who knew how it worked and figured it out took advantage of it. It's horrible. Please don't do it. Please just make things front and center, obvious, and we'll all be good. Because it's hidden, because you have absolutely no reference to it in the game, you can't open your crafting profession and see anything about it. You're going to need the assistance of either some scripts or a weak aura. In fact, this little weak aura that's at the top of my screen here, I get many questions about this every single day on my stream, but this little weak aura is God tier, and this little weak aura is going to really help you with figuring out exactly what you might need to do and where you can get bonus knowledge points. So let's start at the very beginning. In fact, let's talk about herbalism for starters then. This little weak aura, I'll leave a link to this in the description down below. What's it called? Moo's knowledge point tracker, or whatever the case may be. This is a fantastic little weak aura. The link is in the description for it. This is going to show you all of the knowledge points that you can obtain with your profession. This isn't a video about gaining knowledge points, though. This is a video about the catch-up system. So the one we're interested in is the green ones, the one at the bottom for herbalism here, called Deep Grove Roots. You can see it's categorized, the knowledge point gains weekly, catch-up, unique. You've got your weekly tasks, you've got your unique ones. When they're in red, it usually means that you can't afford them. You may not have the currency to get them. Deep Grove Roots is your catch-up system for herbalism. Mining has a similar one. Once you've gained your weekly collection points, Deep Grove Petals and Deep Grove Rose, once you've gained those with herbalism on a weekly basis, if you're eligible for any catch-up, you may then start to find some Deep Grove Roots. But there is something that you need to know here. You don't have access to these knowledge points until you've done the turn-in. Angari, Herbalist, the turn-in quest. What is it called? The Herbalist Notes one, maybe. Whatever the quest is where you have to turn in a bunch. I've not leveled it. I don't get access to the quest until you're 25, but you probably know the quest I'm talking about. You got to hand in some herbs, or for the sake of mining, you got to hand in some ore. Skinning has you turn in a few hides. That turn-in quest must be completed before you'll have access to any catch-up points that's available to you. This little weak aura is just going to help you track how many of them you can get, but you must do the turn-in quest for gathering quests for gathering professions first. Weird that that's a requirement. It's odd that you can't just go out and do some herbalism and mining or whatever the case is to actually get access to these. The game is what the game is. Do the turn-in, do the hand-in quests per week, and then you'll be eligible for any of these catch-up points. So gathering, pretty simple. You go out, you do some more herbalism, you do some more mining. And from time to time, you'll come across these deep grove routes, and you can get, at the moment, as of recording this, I could get up to 60 of these on a brand new fresh herbalist. It's worth noting at this point, when we're talking about all of these, regardless whether it's a gathering profession, regardless whether it's a crafting profession, you are not necessarily able to catch up 100% of the way to somebody that has already been doing this for many weeks at this point. The expansion, as of recording this video, is a few weeks old. Players who've been doing their profession since day one will still have a slight advantage over you, and this is mostly because the knowledge points seem to have been split into two categories. There's the weekly activities, so that is going to be things like your inscription knowledge book, like your weekly turn-ins. They are sort of weekly activities that there doesn't seem to be any catch-up for. This includes, with the crafting professions, for example, it includes the quest to... the quest you get for completing a certain amount of patron orders each week. There doesn't seem to be any catch-up implementation for that. The only catch-up that is implemented is for the knowledge points that you gain by engaging with the profession. So in terms of gathering, that's going to be your collections, that's going to be your deep grove petals, your deep grove roses, the knowledge points that you gain from actually playing with the profession. There's catch-up for them. In terms of enchanting, in terms of the crafting professions, in fact, enchanting is not the best example here, but your regular crafting professions, the only catch-up system you seem to have access to is to catch yourself up from the patron orders. Inscription books, no catch-up for. Knowledge point turn-ins, patron order completion turn-ins, no catch-up for. The only catch-up you're going to get is for the patron orders that you may have not completed in past weeks. Odd how it's a little bit phrased like that. But once again, it is what it is. Enchanting, though, let's look at enchanting. I want to talk about enchanting next. There is a reason why I'm doing this in this order, but enchanting is half a crafting profession and half a gathering profession. It's kind of odd how enchanting works now. You may have noticed if you've been playing with enchanting that when you disenchant some stuff, you gain some knowledge points occasionally. You gain 5 of these fleeting arcane manifestations every week, and then you gain 1 gleaming telluric crystal each week. This is the big epic one that gives you 4 knowledge points. Under normal circumstances, once you've completed those, that's your supposed knowledge points for the week, right? Well, you have catch-up for enchanting as well, and the catch-up system for enchanting is to continue to disenchant stuff. But there's a caveat. Weirdly, with enchanting, you do not have access to your catch-up points in enchanting until you've gone out and collected your 2 treasures. Most crafting professions require you to fly around, pick up some dirt piles, find some world treasures, and there's 2 treasures you can gain per week that will give you some knowledge points. You have to have completed those first. You have to have found them and used them in any given week before you can continue to disenchant to get your bonus shimmering dusts with enchanting. Very strange, but it just is what it is. Shimmering dust, though, makes enchanting one of the best professions for catch-up. You can literally go to the auction house, buy a bunch of greens, buy a bunch of blues. Even the Dark Moon trinkets have been remarkably cheap fodder for your disenchanting. And you can just buy a bunch of stuff, or even if you've got like a tailor or a blacksmith, make some cheap gear, disenchant it all, and you can churn your way through this shimmering dust remarkably quickly. Catching up with enchanting, very good, very fast. I wish I could say that it was as good for some of the other crafting professions, but it's not. Let's talk about how it works with the crafting professions. Let's go pick up tailoring for comparison, because the other major crafting professions, they work via the patron order system. Your catch-up is entirely linked to the patron order system, and I don't like it. If I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't like it. I don't think it's a very well thought out system for the crafting professions. It's much more fluid for gathering, it's much more fluid for enchanting, but crafting professions, it's a bit gross. So, how does it work with the crafting profession then? You may have started to spot when you're looking at your crafting orders, your patron orders, you may notice that some of them, well, at least at the beginning of the expansion, one of the rewards you get is these glimmers of tailoring knowledge. This is your default. There's X amount of these you can obtain per week via your crafting orders. Your goal is just to fill these orders as often as you can, realistically. Anytime there's the opportunity for a glimmer, you probably want to try and fill that order. It doesn't always work because the patron order system is way too random, in my opinion. The fact that half the patrons don't even provide a single material still is really disheartening. And blacksmiths, I empathize with you. Your patron orders are usually completely gross. When Millhouse turns up and doesn't offer you a single sanctified alloy, many keyboards have been broken, but we're going to have to fight through it, at least temporarily. What you may have spotted, though, in the last few weeks is some slightly different patron orders that contain a flicker of tailoring knowledge. This might only give you one knowledge point, but this is your catch-up system. These flickers are your catch-up system for the crafting professions. So this is going to be tailoring, leatherworking, blacksmithing, jewel crafting, inscription, engineering. I've probably missed one, but it's the main crafting professions. Alchemy, by the way. It's the main crafting professions, and when you see these flickers, you know that these flickers are contributing to your catch-up system. Now, the reason I don't think this is a great system for the crafting professions is, unlike something like enchanting, where we looked at you can just disenchant a bunch of stuff and you can actually, quote-unquote, catch up quite quickly, the opportunity to catch up via the crafting systems is entirely a waiting game. You are still waiting on these patron orders to turn up with the flickers. Sure, as a brand new tailor, there's up to 92 patron crafting orders that contain flickers that I could fulfill until I am technically caught up with the maximum number of knowledge points obtainable. But these orders turn up like 1, maybe 2 a day. If you are playing with the crafting professions and you're looking to catch up with the crafting professions specifically, you are going to have to get into the mindset of logging in daily. Every single day, you will often see that these orders turn up and they last less than a day, meaning that they turn up and then tomorrow it will be something different. Now, of course, that's good in one way because it means if it's a completely dogshit order that you've got no chance of filling, they go away quickly and they get refreshed. But the point still stands, as far as I'm concerned, is the patron order system, especially for the catch-up points, needs to be better. There's no way it should be giving you orders for recipes you don't know. There's no way it should be giving you orders like this, where it's turning up with basically no materials. Whilst we're at a period of the expansion where materials are still remarkably expensive, crafted items are remarkably expensive, this catch-up system is pretty dire, in my opinion. But at least it's something that's better than nothing. Although it has caused myself and many others a huge amount of frustration when you are fighting to keep up with your knowledge points to stay competitive in crafting, and then you get your quote-unquote catch-up orders that are more difficult and more expensive to fill than the ones you didn't do yesterday. It's a bit of a shame, in my opinion, and I really hope Blizzard take another look at this, or more importantly, I really hope that there's still something that we don't know, because of course, as we mentioned at the beginning of this video, the entire thing is completely hidden. There's no reference to this. It's only thanks to some smart people data mining and digging around in the game code that we even know that this is a thing. Finally, to round this video off though, I will basically try and explain to you in a little bit of detail exactly how this works. It turns out it's a currency. It turns out the catch-up system is a currency, and it's completely hidden, and it's a currency, and you it took people a little while to figure out that you can actually in-game view this currency. There was a Reddit post that turned up a couple of days ago. People kind of knew of it prior to this, but it's now become a little bit more popular. There's actually some scripts you can run, or you can put these scripts into a macro if you really wish. But you can run this script, and all you need to do is you need to change this code. This little thread does tell you how to do it. You change this code depending on what professions you have, and it will basically tell you what the quantity of that currency is. That currency is how many, catch-up points you're allowed to have. Once you've spent your currency, you've got to wait till next week before you get some more. The reason they've done it this way, no idea. I really wish they would integrate it into the actual crafting windows so that we can see. We have these wonderfully nice looking crafting windows these days. Even herbalism, even mining has these interfaces now. It would be really nice if Blizzard would do something to say, hey, look, there is some catch up you can have access to here, and this is how you go about doing it. I don't like the fact that it's completely hidden, but it is what it is. So, boys and girls, there'll be some links in the description down below to both this weak aura and that little Reddit thread if you want to just maybe not use a weak aura but just make a macro or something to do this. But I hope that sort of demystifies a little bit some of the catch-up systems and how crafting works slightly different to enchanting and how enchanting works slightly different to the regular gathering. But use that, go get good at your professions, make a whole bunch of gold and come back and let me know how you've done. Come say hi over on the Discord. If you're not there already, you can come say hi during the live streams. We'll be playing with this an awful lot. We have been playing with this an awful lot. It's part of the reason why I've been a bit quiet over on YouTube in the recent weeks, because it's a brand new expansion. I've been streaming nearly every single day. We do stream both here on YouTube and on Twitch simultaneously, so you can catch me on either platform. But of course, I understand it's not convenient hours for everybody. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on that, boys and girls. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you're new around here, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.